If you in SEO, you know that gut-wrenching feeling when Google announces an algorithm update, right? The whole industry kind of holds its breath, and it can feel like you're sailing straight into a massive storm. So today, we're going to open up a senior SEO's playbook for not just surviving that storm, but actually navigating it with some real confidence.
Okay, first things first. That initial wave of absolute panic, yeah, that's totally normal. Your traffic charts might suddenly look like a Six Flags roller coaster, and that urge to just change everything all at once it's powerful. But the number one rule from the pros is simple. Do not panic. A frantic reaction is almost always the wrong one.
So let's start with what we're calling the algorithm quake. This is all about that moment Google shakes things up and how we move from that feeling of pure chaos into a position of control. And this, right here, gets to the absolute core philosophy of this entire playbook. Look, if your strategy is built on a solid foundation, and by that I mean you're truly focused on your users creating genuinely helpful stuff, you're already building in resilience. The goal isn't to just react to every little update. It's to build a strategy that can withstand them from the get-go. Okay, so where do we even begin? Well, you start by setting up your listening post. This is all about how to stay in the loop without getting completely overwhelmed by all the noise and chatter out there. The trick here isn't to read every single article or tweet. No way. It's about carefully curating a list of trusted sources that give you the real signal, not just the static. You're looking for solid information, not just a bunch of panicked chatter. So who's on this curated list? Well, first you have the official channels, like Google's own blog. You gotta go straight to the source. Then you have these incredible industry experts. We're talking people like Barry Schwartz, Marie Haynes, Glenn Gabe, Alita Solis, who live and breathe this stuff and give you that deep dive analysis you really need. And it's not just about individuals, right? There are also some key platforms you should follow. Publications like Search Engine Journal and Search Engine Land, and newsletters like Alita Solis's SEO FOMO are amazing for curating what's happening. They save you a ton of time and give you that crucial big picture view. All right, here's a real pro-level tip for you. While those blogs give you the deep analysis after the fact, social platforms like X and LinkedIn are where you're going to see the earliest signals. Experts are on there, sharing charts and data in real time as an update is literally unfolding. That's the front line. Okay, once you're properly informed, it is time for the data-driven damage report. The key phrase here is data-driven. We're taking emotion completely out of the equation and becoming a detective, just looking for clues in the numbers. So, what does this audit actually look like? It's a systematic, three-step process. First, you're in Google Search Console looking at the raw impression and click data. Is there a real drop or just a blip? Then you pivot over to Google Analytics to see if that drop is hitting specific pages or maybe certain devices or regions. And finally, this is crucial, you cross-check with third-party tools to see if the entire industry is feeling the same tremor. All that data you just pulled, it's all leading to one single critical question. Is this an industry-wide storm, or is this a problem specific to my site? If tools like SEMrush Sensor are showing volatility everywhere, it's likely a broad update. But if those tools are calm and only your site is tanking, well, that signals an internal issue you need to investigate fast. Now we get to the strategic response plan. You've gathered your intel, you've analyzed the data, now it's time to actually do something. But we're going to do it in a targeted way, not a frantic one. Here is how a senior-level pro approaches it. First, identify exactly what got hit. Was it all your blog posts? A specific page template? You have to look for the common thread. Second, align your fix with what the update was likely targeting. If everyone's saying it was a content quality update, your response should be laser-focused on improving, you guessed it, content quality. Finally, you apply precise, targeted fixes, not a massive site-wide overhaul. And a lot of the time, that alignment comes back to this one super important concept, EEAT. This is Google's framework for quality. Does your content show real-world experience? Does it showcase expertise? Is it authoritative in its niche? And maybe most importantly, is it fundamentally trustworthy? So many Google updates are just a recalibration of these exact signals. So this brings us to our final section and really the ultimate goal, building an algorithm-proof future. This is about shifting your entire mindset away from short-term fixes and towards creating long-term resilience, so you're not just reacting to these updates anymore. These 4 pillars are your foundation for that long-term resilience. I mean, think about it. If you are consistently creating helpful, original content, keeping your site technically sound, building real topical authority, and earning links ethically, you are fundamentally aligning your work with Google's own goals. And when you have that foundation in place, it totally reframes the entire conversation. An algorithm update is no longer a five-alarm fire that requires massive repairs. Instead, it becomes a valuable signal, an opportunity to make small, intelligent adjustments to fine-tune a strategy that's already strong. Ultimately, weathering the algorithm storm really just comes down to this mindset. It's about being proactive instead of reactive. It's about trusting data over emotion, and above all, it's about remembering that if you put your user first, you'll very rarely find yourself on the wrong side of a Google update. So, we'll leave you with this question to think about. When you look at your own SEO work, are you stuck in that painful cycle of constantly repairing after every update? Or have you built a foundation where these updates are just opportunities to refine? Because honestly, that's what makes all the difference.